Okay, this is take 2 on an InDesign lesson that I hope will work because the one I did Sunday and spent 20 minutes on did not work. I'm going to show you how we would do this if it was a yearbook page and kind of show you some of the different tools. So I'm going to start with Page Wizard, which you won't eventually have to use because Riley will have pages all set up for all of you. But pages in general, an even number is the left-hand side and odd numbers the right-hand side. So if you started with page 1, you would only get a right-hand side of a page. And so we're just going to call this deadline 1, page number 2, sample page. We're not going to use a section template. We're not going to add folio text right now. You can go ahead and tell it how many columns you want to have, but I'm not going to do that yet because I'm going to show you how you can do that later here in a second. So I guess I'm going to open that page because that's the one I made on Sunday when I tried to do this. And I'm going to delete all of that because that's what I did on Sunday. So this is what a yearbook page looks like. This is called a double page spread, which means that I have a left and a right-hand page that face each other. Right now, I just changed my control palette over here to be 2 columns because I kind of prefer that look. If you click on the left-hand button, it's going to show all your guides. And I have put columns on my page because I did this on Sunday, but I'm going to show you how to do that again. Just like Photoshop, every different tool that you pick on your palette over here, if it has a little triangle at the bottom right corner, you can click and hold and it'll give you other options. You can watch videos on YouTube on how to do different stuff. You can play with things and you're not going to hurt anything. When you click on those different tools, you get different options up at the top. So if I'm on my text tool, then I'm going to have all my text options show up at the top. Right now, I'm going to start with my selection tool, and be careful not to confuse it with the direct selection tool, and we'll talk about that later also. What I'm going to start with is going to my layout, and under layout, I have margins and columns. And right now, this page is set up just to have traditional margins. We have not used traditional margins the last 2 years. We've used a really wide margin and left a lot of white space at the outside of our pages, and that's a decision we'll have to make this year. The other thing we've done in the past 2 years is had our gutter only be half a pica wide, which is P6, because a pica is 12 points. So if I want to leave it at 1 point, I can. The number of columns is how many columns are going to be on your left page and your right page. And that's just a personal preference. The more columns you have, the more advanced the design is considered. So I'm going to go ahead and do 6 for now, just for the heck of it. After you've decided on your number of columns, I'm going to delete some of these guides that I had on here from Sunday again. The next thing you need to decide is, where do I want my eye line to be? So your eye line is going to be a rail of space across your page, either a pica wide or a half a pica if we decide to go with a half a pica. And you should have no more than 1 element on your page in that eye line. So I'm going to go up into my ruler with my selection tool, and I am holding down Control so that my line will go across the right and the left page. If I don't hold down Control, it'll only go across the page I'm on. And if you look, it's telling me where on my Y-axis I am right now. So I'm at 36p7. It also tells me up in the top left corner under where it has File, Edit, Layout, etc., that line's at 37p6. The lines I have up at the top are at 2. That's where our page starts, is 2 picas down from the very top of the page. So it starts at 2 on the y-axis. So the 0 of the y-axis is the top of the page, but the 0 of the x-axis you can see on the ruler is in the middle of what we call the gutter, which is the space in between the 2 pages. And you never want to put somebody's face right in the middle of the gutter because you won't be able to see it. So I have one of my lines drawn for my eye line. I need to draw another one. So if that one was at 37p6, sorry, there's a couple different ways I can do that. I can just drag a line down until it's at 38p6, or if that's too hard and you don't feel like you can do that, you can drag another line that'll snap right on top of that one, and then click on it so that it's selected, and then up in your y-axis box, put a plus sign and 1, and it'll automatically give you a line that's exactly 1 pica down from that. I don't know what happened to my other half of that line, so I'm just going to drag another one down, and hopefully it'll snap to that. There is a place that you can turn snap on in your window. No, sorry, I'm wrong. View. I should practice for these. So if you go to grids and guides, you can hide all your guides if you want to. You can lock your guides, so now nobody can accidentally move your eye line. We always have our column guides locked. Occasionally on class pages, we move that. Snap to guides and smart guides I have on, and I kind of like that. I do not like baseline grid and document grid, but you guys can look at that and see what it is if you want to. So my next thing I need to do, I'm going to do Control-Alt-0, and that's going to show my entire spread in the page. You can also go to View, Fit, Spread, and Window, and I just know that shortcut. It's right there, Control-Alt-0. So I did Control-Alt-0. I can see my whole page. I need to decide where I want my dominant photo to be next. That's my second step. So I'm going to use my rectangle tool. And you never want your eyeline to be smack dab in the middle of your page. So since my eyeline's on the bottom half of my page, my dominant photo is going to sit on it, and every element should start and stop on a column. So that would be my dominant photo. An advanced design feature I've never really talked about in the past, but that the slideshow that I had you watch yesterday hopefully showed you, is that you should have a secondary photo that is the same shape as your dominant photo. So another horizontal picture that is close to it. And if you notice, I didn't quite get all the way down to my eyeline. So I'm going to, with my selection tool, drag that down to my eyeline and snap on it. So now I'm going to put my next picture right here and kind of imitate that shape. Your dominant photo ideally is going to be at least twice the size of your next biggest photo. After you have those two pictures, you want to do a variety of shapes. Square pictures are kind of awkward and hard to do, but you could do a square, but you want to have some pictures that are going the other direction. So far I have horizontal pictures, so I might want to throw a vertical picture in here somewhere. And that just adds some visual interest. The other thing you have to be aware of is that you don't want to put any of your white space in the middle of the page. That's called trapped white space. And when people are thinking about design, they study people's physiological responses to things. And if I decided I was going to shrink this picture up and put some words right here in the middle of the page, that gives people anxiety. They're physiologically, their pulse rate speeds up, they start to sweat, their breathing gets more rapid, it bothers them, it causes the physiological response of stress. And so we want any of our words or any space that we're going to leave blank to go to the outside of our pages. Ideally, it can escape horizontally and vertically. So I could put a headline right here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that, because that's actually, I'm going to rotate my font. And so I'm actually going to start with it this way. And I'm going to rotate that then 90 degrees. So I'm just going to type headline for my headline right now. If I can spell it right, if you make a box with your text tool, it'll be a text box. And then if you double click, your cursor will be in there. And I'm going to zoom in on my font so you can see this. Oh, maybe I'm going to stop now because the bell is ringing. But then I can manipulate my font here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there because the bell rang, and maybe. So I will see you guys later and begin where we left off.
I kind of pat myself in the back here.